Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive right into the world of prompt engineering. Whether you're just playing around with AI or you're building really complex systems with it, learning how to talk to it is absolutely the key to unlocking what it can really do. And we're going to show you exactly how.
So let's just kick things off with a question. Have you ever gotten a response from an AI that's just confusing, or flat out wrong, or just not helpful at all? If you have, you know that feeling, right? It can really feel like you're not in the driver's seat. But the good news is, you can be.
You see, the secret weapon here isn't just what you ask, it's all about how you ask it. Just look at this side-by-side comparison. It's night and day, isn't it? On the left, you get this generic, rambling mess. But on the right, with a structured prompt, you get something focused and actually useful. That's the difference we're talking about.
All right, so how do we get past that intimidating, blinking cursor in a blank box and start writing prompts that actually get results? Well, we're going to unpack a super simple but really powerful framework that'll give your prompts the structure they need.
And here it is. It's called the prompt framework. Now, think of it like a checklist to make sure you've covered all your bases before you even hit enter. It breaks a great prompt down into 6 parts: purpose, role, output, markers, patterns, and tone. It forces you to be deliberate.
And this is where it gets really cool, because this framework, it kind of turns you into an architect for your request. You're not just throwing a question into the void. Nope. You're defining the goal, you're telling the AI what persona to adopt, you're specifying the exact format you want back, the whole shebang.
Okay, so let's build on that idea. Giving instructions is just the foundation. That's only half the battle. Now we've got to talk about how to shape those instructions to guide the AI's attention right where you want it.
Yikes. Look at this thing. It's just a giant wall of text, right? Everything's mashed together. The instructions, the context, the questions. It's a mess for us to read, and you can bet it's just as confusing for the AI. It has no idea what's important.
But now look at this, same exact information, but wow, this is the magic of simple formatting. Using things like Markdown for headings and bullet points, you're basically giving the AI a roadmap. You're showing it, hey, pay attention to this part, and this part is a list. It makes a world of difference. Okay, but what about the opposite? What about telling the AI what you don't want? This is where something called negative prompts, or constraints, come in, and they are so powerful. You're not just describing what you want, you're actively fencing off what you don't want.
So, for example, you could just say, write a professional email. Or you could add these constraints and get something way better. By telling it to avoid those cheesy opening lines and to keep it concise, you're sculpting the output. The result is just so much sharper.
All right, once you've got the basics of structure and constraints down, it's time to level up. We're getting into some really cool advanced strategies now. Techniques that treat the AI less like a vending machine and more like a creative partner.
So check this out. It's a technique called recursive self-improvement. This is where you tell the AI to not just write something, but to then critique its own work based on your rules and then make it better. It literally becomes its own editor, refining its output in cycles. And then there's this other game changer, Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. This is absolutely critical for getting accurate, trustworthy answers. Instead of letting the AI pull from the wild west of its training data, you force it to look at a specific, trusted source that you provide. It grounds the AI in reality. So we know all these tricks work, right? But the science behind why, well, that reveals something pretty surprising. It's a trade-off that you really need to get your head around to become a true expert at this. So a recent study dug right into this. And what they found was, for short tasks that require a lot of logical reasoning, like, figuring out if one sentence logically follows another, giving the AI a couple of examples works wonders. It just boosts its performance like crazy. But, and this is a big but, for longer tasks like summarizing a big article, throwing in those same examples can actually make things worse. And why is that? Well, think of it like this. The AI only has so much attention to spare. The examples start to crowd out the actual article it's supposed to be reading. And this right here is the key takeaway. They call it capacity context alignment. You can see the trade-off right here in the numbers. A nice bump for the short task, but a real drop in quality for the long one. The bottom line is, examples are great, but only if the AI has the bandwidth to handle both the examples and the main task. It's a constant balancing act.
Okay, this all leads us to something really important, kind of like a critical warning. because the very same power that lets you guide an AI so effectively can also be twisted and used to hijack it.
It's called prompt injection, and this isn't some small-time issue. OWASP, a huge name in web security, calls this the #1 security risk for large language model apps. It's a big deal because it exploits a fundamental weakness in how these models work.
So how does it actually work? Well, here's a perfect example. The request looks totally innocent, right? Translate this from English to French. But wait, look closely at what's hidden inside the text it's supposed to translate.
See, the AI doesn't see a difference between the instructions you gave it and the text someone else slipped in. To the AI, it's all just one big command. So what does it do? It follows the last thing it read, and boom, the original task is completely derailed.
And so that leaves us with a pretty heavy question, doesn't it? If the very instructions we give these AIs can be hijacked so easily, who's really in control? It's something we all need to be thinking about as these incredible tools become a bigger and bigger part of our world.